So we are discussing how to find out the speeds of different gears when gear A is rotating by 1000 rpm. Now let's imagine that the diameter of B is, let's say, 2 times. I'll just write here, diameter of A is say 100 and diameter of B is 200 units, double diameter. So when the diameter is double, what will happen is the speed will be half. So this will rotate at, B will rotate at 500 rpm. Diameter double means speed is half. B started rotating at 500 rpm. Now because B is rotating at 500 rpm, C will also rotate by 500 rpm. Speed of C is also 500 rpm. Now when you go from C to D, the speed is going to change. How it is going to change? That depends on the diameter ratio. So let us say that this C, diameter C, is, let us say, 80, and diameter of D is going to be, say, 240, 3 times more. Here it was 2 times more, now it is, let us say, 3 times more. So now the speed has come to 500 and the diameter is 3 times more, that means the speed is going to be 1/3. So the speed of D is going to be 1/3 of 500. Whatever is the value it comes, 1/3 of 500 is going to be the speed of gear D. So now the speed has come down to, say, suppose you try to calculate this. (166 rpm). So we have come down from 1000 rpm here, 1000 rpm here, to 500 rpm here, to 500 rpm here, and to 166 rpm here. So effectively we have come down by a ratio 2 and by a ratio 3. So 2 into 3, 6. So the ratio is like 6. So you are going to get a ratio of 6. That means this speed 1000 has come down by 1/6. So we can say 1000 upon 6 is 166. So effectively the ratio is 6. So it is like saying that gear A is here and the gear D here is having 6 times diameter. So diameter of gear B is, gear D is 6 times the diameter of A if you take. Then you will get this ratio, but that is not done like this because making a gear 6 times larger will be very heavy. So instead of that, what is done is they have made this arrangement. The ratio 6 is split into 2 and 3, 2 into 3. So first it is made 2 times half, that is half, 1/2, then further 1/3 to make it 1/6, and that is how we have reduced the speed like this. So this has happened because it is called the compound gear train. So the meaning of compound gear train is that 2 or more gears, you will find them connected to each other having same axis. They are combined together. This gear is also called the compound gear. Okay. So this arrangement what you see here is called as a compound gear train. So if there is an exercise where you are given such kind of a diagram with all the various teeth etc. are given, then you can find out the speeds of different gears depending on how the arrangement is. In this case, these two are on same axis, therefore we say that the speed here is same. Here they are connected, one is driving another, they are on different axes. Then the ratio of speeds, you know how to find out. The ratio of speed is inversely proportional to diameter or teeth. So according to that, here the diameter was 3 times more, so the speed has become 1/3. Speed has become 1/3. Like that you can find out the diameters or the speeds of different gears. Okay. So it is a compound gear train, the second type of gear train. Now let's see the third type of gear train. Reverted gear train. Reverted gear train Now write down something about gear train. Reverted gear train. Reverted gear train, write down, reverted gear train is a special case of compound gear train. It is a special case of compound gear train where the first and the last gear are coaxial. When the first and the last gears are coaxial. First and the last gear are coaxial. Now see, it is coaxial means they are in one line, but then they are not joined, they are not combined like the earlier case. So let us see how it is done. So now we are going to draw a reverted gear train. The figure will be like this. This is gear A connected to gear B. Here gear A, here gear B. Gear A, gear B. Then there is gear C here. Which is here. So up to here it is just like compound gear train. Now the difference is gear D. Last time gear D was here. Gear D was here. So the axis of gear D was somewhere here. Now what it says, the last gear and the first gear, the two axes, axis of A and axis of D, they are going to be in one line. That means D is to be drawn in such a way that its axis is same as this axis. So if I draw, it will come something like this. This is gear D. This gear is gear D. It has got axis same as this. The only thing is difference is, see what is the difference between AD combination and BC combination. In the case of BC combination, they are connected by shaft. That means they are one piece. This is like a single piece. Whereas here A gear is different, D gear is different, only they are aligned in one line. Now how they are aligned? Maybe here you can draw a slightly more detailed figure. Could you see how it is drawn? This A, part of A, is located in part of D. Okay, that means they are there, they are not physically connected. Between the two, there will be some bearing. I have not drawn that, but between the two, there will be bearing. That means this can rotate with its own speed, D will rotate with its own speed. Both are gearing at their own speeds, only they are on one line. So there will be relative motion between these two parts. Maybe to take care of that is bearing here, but then they are just brought in one line. Okay. That arrangement I have not drawn in very much details, but you can draw them such that you can show that there is a bearing between the two and they are brought in one line. Now what is going to happen because of all this? By this arrangement. First thing is, as we have written, it is a case of compound gear train. That means whatever we have earlier done, this was rotating at 1000 RPM, then 500 RPM, 500 RPM, and then 166 RPM. Now in this case, 1000, 500, 500 I'll write here. 1000, 500 RPM, 500 RPM also is there. This much is same because there is no change. Now for the gear D, what is going to be the speed? That will depend on the diameter ratio here. Now this diameter ratio, there is some slight difference. Here this D could have been, in the earlier case, D could have been of any diameter. There was no restriction because the axis was free, it could have been anywhere. Now because the axis has to be here, what should happen is the total of this teeth, I'll write here, teeth of A plus teeth of B should be same as teeth of C plus teeth of D. Because when the teeth of C and teeth of D, when you combine, that is representing the center distance because teeth are proportional to diameter. So adding the teeth means similar to adding the diameters and making half it, that means the center distance. So here teeth of A plus teeth of B is corresponding to this distance, not equal, it is corresponding to this distance. Similarly, teeth of C plus teeth of D should be showing the same distance, representing the same distance. So this ratio should be satisfied. According to that ratio, their teeth will be there. How much? That maybe you can calculate what are going to be the teeth on D. So once you know the teeth on D, then according to that teeth you can take the ratio and find out what is going to be speed of D by ratio. So it will be some speed like last time it was 166 according to the diameter ratio at that time. Now according to this diameter ratio, accordingly some speed will be there. And that will be just like last time 166, similar to that. It means it will come down like last time it has come from 1000 to 500 to 166. This time it will come down from 1000 to 500 to some similar figure to 166, but not 166 because this condition may or may not be satisfied. Okay, so this is called a reverted gear train, working on the same way. It is also, as I said earlier, it is a special case of compound gear train. Everything is same calculations wise. This slight difference is here. And the biggest advantage of this is, what could be the advantage here? As you can see here, it has got less space. Here last time this D has gone there. So the overall space was this big. The total space required was this big. Now, because you are bringing D here, you are compressing the space, you are reducing the space. So reverted gear train is more compact. It is requiring less space compared to a compound gear train. So in a smaller space, you can get similar kind of ratio. In a lesser space, you can get a similar kind of ratio. So this is a compact kind of gear train, a special case of compound gear train. So that is called a reverted gear train, like this. Having understood the reverted gear train, before we go to the fourth type, that is the epicyclic gear train, before we do that, let us take one say example of this reverted gear train. The example is automobile gearbox. All of you may be knowing that in automobile, in a car, say for example in a car, there is a gearbox present, and that gearbox has got different gears. It has got gear trains, that means different arrangement of gears. And what do we get from that? We are going to get different speeds. So as you know, when your vehicle is running in first gear, it has got certain speed. When you change the gear to second gear, it has got certain other speed. Third gear, different speed. Fourth gear, different speed. Reverse gear, different speed, different direction. So this change of gears will give you different speeds. How that happens? That is all because of the design of a gearbox of the automobile, which is of this type, reverted gear train type of gearbox it has got. So let us see how it is made up of. So let us draw, I'll just draw a figure which you have to copy, and then we'll come to know how this particular gear train is applicable here. So now you can see that there are, this is a gearbox. Now this is a representation of a gearbox. We are drawing a schematic diagram. Schematic means just a line diagram which is going to represent all the mechanical parts that are involved. So this is a gearbox. S is showing shafts. There are different shafts. This is a shaft. These are representing gears. This is representing bearing. Bearing means support to the shaft. Bearing here. Now see what happens. There is a gear. There is a shaft S1. This is a shaft S1. On this shaft, this gear is mounted. Okay. Then this gear is in contact with the other gear like this. Now this other gear is mounted on the second shaft S2. So there is one shaft S1, other shaft S2. On this S2, all these gears are mounted. All these green color gears, they are fitted on S2. Then on there is one more shaft there, S3. On this S3 shaft, there are these many gears mounted. On S3, there are these many gears mounted. And then there is one more shaft S4, on which there one more gear is mounted. So there are so many gears are involved. I'll just number them. I can write some names. So it is A, now there is B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. I just go on writing different letters. So this gear A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. So these are the different gears that are fitted on all these different shafts. Okay. Now how the power is transmitted, and as it is an automobile gearbox, how are you going to get different speeds? That is what we are going to see. In the next session we will see how this is going to work.